Welcome back to the Other Side of 45 podcast. I'm your host, Randy Black. This podcast is about taking chances, owning my mistakes, addressing generational family cycles and trauma, completing my 50 by 50 list, and my life as a single mother of Gen Z. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Please subscribe and rate the podcast 5 stars. This episode is entitled 2022 Review, number 27. Buy me 50 just because items, and then in parentheses I put flowers, chocolate, and plans for 2024. So those are things that we're going to be discussing today. All right, so today is Tuesday, December 26th. I'm really hoping you guys get this episode on time. There is an episode that I recorded weeks ago that was supposed to air that I found out never did air. It still says processing. It's been like a month. I'm not sure what's going on with the platform that I'm using, and I'm thinking about moving over my platform to something that does work all the time. I've had issues with since Spotify and Anchor have combined. I think it's now podcast is for Spotify or whatever. Anywho, technical issues, not your problem, but those are the things I've been dealing with. So that episode that did not air, I may have to re-record it or try to get it. Right now is scheduled to come out in 2024 if it works. Anywho, so this is my final episode for 2023, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a Christmas, if I wanted to do a wrap up, and as you can see, I chose the latter. So in this episode, I want to give you an update. 2023 was a great year. I had my surgery, dealt with feelings of inadequacy. Well, actually still kind of dealing with those feelings of inadequacy. Both of my jobs are very problematic, but for different reasons. And I am going to talk to you in more details about each job and what was going on and what I'm dealing with. And we'll do that on 2024. I didn't address as many cult issues that I had planned. So I will be doing more of that in 2024. So I focus on 2023 more on my 50 by 50 list because I'm so close to 50. I will be doing more of that also, but this one that's entitled number 27 by myself, 50 just because items, flowers, and chocolate. I want to talk about this one in particular as I wrap up 2023 because it came up just before literally days before Christmas. And I'm pretty sure I've covered this, what happened with me and mother in a previous episode, but I need to bring it back again because this just shows you how I'm evolving and trying to be a different version of myself. So years ago when I was raising the girls were very young, and I was back home visiting. This is before my family went no contact. So I don't remember what sparked the conversation per se, but my twin sibling and I were home and we were talking to mother and some other relatives. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it had something to do with us buying ourselves things just because. And it could have been clothes, it could have been shoes, I'm not sure. But I remember mother saying, I know that I didn't make you feel like you deserve such things, but you do. And I want you to stop thinking that you don't and start doing more things for yourself. Now, I, of course, am paraphrasing because this was years ago, but I know that that was the gist of what she was saying. And what I remember is that she was acknowledging her error and something that she is owning up and how she raised my twin sibling and I. And I've talked about so many times on this podcast how my twin sibling and I were treated differently than my oldest sibling. It just was like we lived in two different homes and we did not. So she was encouraging us to move past the how we were raised. And I'm here to tell you that I have not moved past this. And that is why this is part of what today's episode is. I haven't moved past this way of thinking that I'm not worthy of simple indulgences. I don't want to even say that I'm not worthy. I want to say that it's not a priority. That's what I would say. That is not a priority. And that's why number 27 is on the list, is because back then I recognized that she said, and a lot of other people would tell me, and I recognized it in myself, that I just was not a type of person who would just say, oh, I'm just going to get this stuff for myself just because. No reason. I didn't have to qualify it or justify it. That was not the norm for me. And it unfortunately still is not. And I revisited in 2023 that list, my 50/50s by 50 list, multiple times. You've heard about it. If you're a regular subscriber, you know that I go back to that list a lot. But that number 27 is one that, honestly should have been crossed off before now. Listen, I am 1 year and a few days away from my 50th birthday. And I have not purchased myself 50 just because gifts. And see, I listed it that way for a reason, because past me knew that future me would count things like buying a new toothbrush or new shoes, when those things are really necessity, not just because. So I listed flowers and chocolate because back then that's how I would identify stuff as a gift. I was like, oh, flowers and chocolate. You think about anniversaries or graduation, people say, oh, get her a box of chocolate, give him or her some flowers. That's usually comes up on the list, among other things. But I wasn't going to list all the things, but that would jog me to remember that when I say buy these things, it's a gift. Now, I'm not saying I've never bought myself chocolate, but because I bought myself a Kit Kat over the last couple of years or whatever, but I listed it as chocolate because most people would not go into the check lanes and pick up a Almond Joy or Kit Kat or whatever, Snicker, whatever your preferred chocolate bar is, and get that one thing and give it to someone and say, hey, I was thinking about you. This is a gift for your birthday. This is a gift. Now, most people wouldn't do that. I mean, I'm not saying people won't. That's usually not gift worthy for most people, especially at our age and stage in life. So when I list chocolate, I wanted to make sure that future me knew that this was something that needed to be thought. This would be boxes. This would, you need to think gift level. Now, as far as the actual items, it wasn't telling me, I wasn't trying to remind myself to buy myself chocolate and flowers. I was trying to remind myself to treat yourself to something that's out of the ordinary, and just because you can. That was the point of listing those things in parentheses. So now I've changed. Flowers is not really something that I'm into anymore. I don't like the idea of a flower being cut for my enjoyment. So I'm more of a plant person. And the thing about plants is this: if you know me, you know that plants tend to use my home as their final resting place within a few weeks of their arrival. So I have refrained from buying too many because of their decision, the plant's decision to make this their final resting place. I don't want to be known for that. And so I don't purchase them for that reason regularly. Now, I have purchased a poinsettia for this year, Christmas 2023, and I have purchased poinsettias, I want to say, for the last 2 years. And I'm counting that just because I need some numbers. So when I was going back, thinking about this, the reason why it came up, and this is the climax, this is the meat of the story of what this is about. So a few weeks ago, number 27 hit me right in the freaking face. And how did it do that? So I received a gift, and it had a couple of $100 on the gift card from my employer, my boss. And my coworker and I, we got it while we were at work, and we were talking about, we looked it up, and oh my gosh, we saw a couple $100. I was like, oh, well, that was so nice. And I wonder if it works, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to figure out why they gave us so much money because of all the issues that's happening at the job. So we were very surprised. It's not something they did for us last year. And we were talking about things that we would use this gift card for. And immediately I thought of 2 things I wanted to get my girls, and preferably for Christmas, but they're 23 and 22. So I knew that even if I couldn't get it in time for Christmas, they will be fine. They don't care if it has to be, it's not a requirement that it comes at Christmas. So one of the gifts, it was possible that it would make it for Christmas. The other one was not even available until January, like the 6th, 7th. I remember the date. I was like, dang, that's not like December at all. So I was like, well, that's fine. In the first of the year, I will check again and see if it becomes available. So with the other gift, if I ordered it on time. And like I said, this was days before Christmas. She would get it on Christmas Day, which is exactly what happened. So I didn't want the girls to know what happened with the card and all the issues I was having with it, or what I was using that for them. And so what's funny is I was telling my oldest daughter about it, and I didn't tell her what the plan was to use. I just told her the amount and what was happening, and she immediately said, "Oh my gosh, you should get a massage." And so I was like, "Here go number 27." And even though I didn't remember it was number 27, I knew that on my 50 by 50 list, there was you need to buy yourself 50 gifts for no reason. Or 50, I think I said 50 just because items. That's how I listed it. But actually, these are supposed to be gifts for myself. So I didn't want to say I'm gifting myself. So I swear I listed as items me back then. But that's what it boils down to. And that's the first thing that came to her mind, that, man, you could use this newfound money to get yourself a massage. And what's crazy is I never even thought about doing something for me, which means that number 27 was still hanging over my head because I never think about just me. The idea is foreign to me. And since then, I have not been able to stop thinking about it. Why did it occur to her immediately, but not for me at all? And she didn't know that the money was practically spent when I told her about it. But I kept thinking, buy yourself 50 just because items. And here was the perfect opportunity. And it never even crossed my mind. So I started thinking more in depth. Have I done this? Have I purchased myself just because gifts? So I thought about a recent purchase that I was trying to justify, saying that this could be considered a just because item. It's the Brooks shoes. They have this fall Thanksgiving shoe. I think is really cute, kind of cheesy, but really cute, because now I'm more into doing running challenges. I need a pair of good running shoes. Now, the reason why I was thinking that this could be considered a just because gift is because I already own a pair of Brooks that I bought a couple of months ago, maybe August or September. They're still pretty good. And yes, you do need to change your shoes more often than if you start running and you use them more often. You need to change them every 3 to 4 months. See how I'm going practical? But these shoes were not necessary. Now, they're the same price as the other Brooks. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm spending more. So that, no, same price as the other Brooks. They just have a theme to them. And they're kind of quirky and cute. So I was like, yeah. So I said, now, could I count this? And then as I went through the thought process that I just shared with you, I thought, am I trying to justify this so that I can say that this is a just because item? And I'm going to tell you, as I record this podcast right now, I do not know. I don't know if I'm just making the justification and saying, well, you didn't have to have these Brooks right now. But they are just blasted shoes. And they're not flashy shoes, but they kind of are. Not in a flashy, they're just, anyway. You see how my mind is going? Trying to figure this out? But Brooks aside, what else have I done? And then I said, all right, you did have a pedicure in June. That definitely counts. Absolutely. Now, full disclosure, the pedicure idea was my cousin's idea. And she and I went to Savannah together, and she said, hey, while we're there, let's get pedicures together. And I said, yes, and I paid for it myself. So I am counting that. So then I started thinking, this can't be it. I mean, it's been 4.5 years since I created this list. And I am down to one hand counting what I've done for myself without a reason. So then I started really digging. I said, okay, come on. It's got to be something else. Oh, you went to the Wiz. You went to the Wiz. Can that be counted? I also went to the Barney McKnight concert. Can that be counted? Oh, what about getting my hair braided? My hair's in braids right now. Purple braids. I love it. And when I get my braids done, I get my eyebrows waxed. Can I count braids and eyebrow waxing as a gift for myself? Now, again, it said flowers and candy. So I know it has to be a gift. I knew back then in 2019, I used to get my hair braided. Why didn't I include braiding of the hair? And I was back then, I was doing the same thing, getting my eyebrows waxed. Why didn't I put that in parentheses? Because past me knew that I didn't want future me to count those things. I can tell you right now why I put that in parentheses. Because I've been getting my hair braided for years. Is that an indulgence? It can be. But is that a just because? I don't know. I really don't know. So I thought, okay, if you count how many times you've gotten your hair braided, could you be up to 50? No. Because I went through a long time where I wasn't getting braids, but then I have to go back and see, well, how many times did I get braids between 2019 and 2020? I mean, I don't know. Y'all know where I'm going with this. I just don't know. I don't think I meant when I created number 27. I know that braids and eyebrows arches was not what it was on what I meant by that. I know for a fact that's not what I meant. So I go back to flowers/chocolate in parentheses, and I know what I was thinking. Now the pedicure, yes, that's the kind of thing that I was thinking about. So I thought, well, there's got to be something else. So I'm searching through photos on my phone that went to my Google Photos and looking at stuff, and I'm not seeing much. It could be also that I just didn't take a picture. I bought myself some natural soap. I don't know. I'm getting down to the wire, and I'd never think about buying stuff for myself. But because back then, another reason why is that every dime that I got there had to be a reason why I spent it. And it was never on me because there was always a bill that needed to be paid. The girls always could use something. There was just always something more practical to do with my money than to buy myself something just because. See, I needed a reason to spend money on me back then. And apparently I still do. But honey, I'm a work in progress. 2024 is just 6 days away, and I'll spend a good bit of that time planning my podcast for 2024, which brings me to the conclusion of this podcast. I need to discuss changes to the podcast. As of now, I'm planning to do what I am right now, as of today, calling Fitness Friday. I want to do that twice a month because of number 6 on my list. Number 6 says participate in 50 races. That's how it originally wrote. I updated it to put 50 races/challenges, and in parentheses I put 5K, 10K marathons. That way I would remember what I meant by that. Now, the reason why I updated it to say challenges because of the pandemic, there was not in-person races, so they went through virtual, and all these challenges started popping up. So I called them races for the introvert. See, I'm not very comfortable with how slow I run, and I also don't like people near me. So these virtual races, they're right up my alley. It's the exact same number of miles or distance as an in-person race, but you do it on your time, which me working 2 jobs is more beneficial. And you can actually, sometimes I will look at previous races because they post their map, and I'll say, okay, I'll do this just when I can. I could use your map. A lot of those are in the road though, so I don't really want to do that. Or I go to a park or something, but I get them the distance in. So, and I've been doing that for a while, and I'm very proud of myself, and I want to share that progress. So, I listen to podcasts when I'm out trying to learn to run. So something is walk run at this point because I'm old, fat, and not shape. And so I got to work my way up to running the whole time. And I'm okay with that. I do the Couch to 5K, and I want to talk about this more on my Fitness Friday episodes. So I was looking for a podcast to listen to while I complete these challenges. And I couldn't find one that focused on Black women, much less Black women over 45, much less Black women over 45 who are not in shape and overweight. I could not find it. But guess what I did find? I found 2 great running focused podcasts by white women over 45. One is called Another Mother Runner, and the other one is Not Your Average Runner. And I love these podcasts, y'all. When I get out there in the morning, to get my miles in for the day, I turn on one of those 2 podcasts. I listen to it the entire time. It's incredibly encouraging because these podcasts focus on women who are not the stereotypical runner. They are older. Some of them are plus size, and they're slower, And they really helped me to my journey to become a runner. First of all, like I can't remember which podcast said, you are a runner if you run. I've run, so I'm a runner. I'm not a great runner. I'm not a fast runner, but a runner nonetheless. I don't need to put qualifiers on it. And I love that they remind me that you don't have to put qualifiers on the type of runner that you are. You are just a runner. And I want to bring that to the forefront for women that look like me, be it they're over 45, or if they're Black, or if they're overweight, or all those things together. I want women who are like me to have more choices and be able to say, I don't have to look like that person to do this. I don't have to concentrate on my distance. Well, not the distance. What do you call it? Speed. They help me to not focus on my speed and weight loss and just focus on the challenge itself. Because at first I was very, very, very obsessed with that. And I'm going to discuss that on Fitness Fridays and what I've been going through the last couple of months that I haven't really been sharing on social media. And that was by design, because anyway, we'll discuss that. So now, and started in 2024. That's where I am. Like, I just forgot my train of thought. Okay, so started in 2024, meaning the first Monday of 2024 will be Monday, January 1st, 2024. I'll air an episode. Hopefully that one will get posted. I'm going to spend some time trying to figure out the best way to make sure that my videos air on time. Now that I know that the platforms I'm using is not working. Anywho, so this is the plan. The first Monday, January 1st, 2024, I'll air an episode that's pretty much like the one that you're used to getting. The following week, an episode will air Friday, January 12th, and that will be more focused on fitness and health. Then on Monday the 15th, back to my usual content. Then on Friday the 26th, an episode focused on fitness and health. See, you get the picture, right? So now, what does that mean for me? I'm on the hunt for women, Black women over the age of 45 to talk about fitness and health. I'm hoping to get some beings or plant-based women, runners, health-conscious women to speak on these issues. Until I find enough women, it'll just be me sharing my journey. And let me tell you, I've got plenty of videos. I've been documenting this. I just haven't posted it. And I'm going to share this with you. So speaking of that, I got something interesting that I'm going to be doing in February. I am going to Houston, Texas on February probably the 16th, but the event is on February 17th to cover the second annual Black Girl Magic Fashion Show. Why? Because a friend of mine who's also a former cult member, she's a plus size, over 45 model. Matter of fact, she's older than me, so she's in her 50s. And we've talked about it before, and she agreed to let me interview her. And I told her I wanted to cover the second annual Black Girl Magic Fashion Show. So I see her on Facebook. She's always posting that she's in these fashion shows. I love it. And it really fits into what I'm trying to do on this podcast. Also, that's kind of the direction that the podcast is going to in 2024. I've already got 2 interviews that I'm going to post. I've got to clean them up again. I've been having some issues with the platform, but those things will be coming out at the top end of 2024, and I will be spending some time trying to figure out who else I can add to that. I'm really excited about the changes that is going to be made to the podcast. It's basically the same things I've said before. The only thing that really has changed is I'm going to share with you some of my journey on my health and fitness goals. All right, so I am hyper focused on my list, completing my 50 by 50s list. Now, I know that I didn't accomplish all that I wanted to in 2023. But, as long as I'm on this side of the death certificate, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to finish that list. And what I can say about 2023 is, honey, 2023 owes me nothing. And that's not something that I'm used to saying. Usually, if I don't do everything that I set out to do, then I'm like, the whole year just wasn't great. But this year I'm saying, look, you didn't get everything, but you sure put up a good effort, and you did have a good year. You were able to accomplish a lot of things, not everything, but I also make grandiose goals every year. And I will have more grandiose goals for 2024. I've shared just some of the things that I've been thinking about for 2024. And I like that about me. I like that I can go back and reflect and gleam and make changes as necessary, because it does what it's supposed to do for the thing. Like, you know what time it is. The theme song of my life by my sister Mary J. Blige, just fine. Because I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night and the time in my life. Ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight. I got my vibe right. I ain't gonna let you kill it. You see, I wouldn't change my life. My life's just fine. So meet me on the other side of 45. It's a podcast, hopefully YouTube, hopefully TikTok. My daughter's really trying to get me to do this TikTok thing. Honey, I am trying. But definitely Instagram and Facebook. So there will be a new episode being released next Monday if technology works. So thank you for tuning in, and please rate the podcast 5 stars so others can find it. And it helps me grow my podcast, and I want you to want me to succeed. Anyway, your feedback and support are greatly appreciated. And if you would like to share your story, you don't have to be Black, you don't have to be a woman. You just gotta be in line with what I am doing here. Just agree, and we got to have some kind of similar, because I'm not having like races or something on here. Anyway, if you want to share your story, please email me at host, that's HOST, at the other side of 45.com.